This tutorial on the Sony Z150 is going to cover what you need to know in order to record good, clean audio. The camera features a built-in mic located here at the front above the lens. It's a good mic when you want to capture natural sounds, which are the sounds that are naturally occurring in the scene that you're shooting. It's not so good at isolating important audio like that in an interview. In those situations, you almost always want to use a lavalier. There's a very noticeable difference in sound quality between the camera mic and the lav. For example, this is what I sound like through the lav, and this is what I sound like through the camera mic. It's a big difference. When you're working with audio on the Z150, you're going to spend a lot of time with these switches and dials located under this small door on the left-hand side of the camera. The switches are laid out horizontally. On the top left, you'll see where it says Input 1. Underneath that, you have three options: line, mic, and mic plus 48V. In the column to the right of that, you have INT mic, which refers to the camera's internal microphone, EXT, which we'll come back to when we talk about connecting a lavalier to the camera, and MI shoe, which is beyond the scope of this video, so we're going to skip over that for now. The third switch to the right says auto or man, and this lets you decide if you want the camera to control the levels or if you're going to do it yourself manually. It goes without saying that auto should not be your choice. All the way to the right are the audio level dials. As the name suggests, these dials allow you to control the level of the incoming audio signal. Turn them down to 0 and you'll get nothing. Turn them up to 10 and chances are your audio will be overmodulated and unusable. We'll talk more about setting levels in a minute. All of the options here for the switches on input 2 are the same, so we'll move on. If all you're going to do is record sound from the internal mic, then push the 4 switches to the left all the way up so that inputs 1 and 2 are online and both are set to INT mic or internal mic. The other switches should stay in man so you can manually control the levels of the internal mic as the recording is happening. Actually, when it's in this setting, the top dial controls the incoming level for both channels, so you only need to manipulate the top dial. If you're shooting something involving an external mic, which will pretty much be the case in every interview you shoot, you'll first need to decide which input you're going to use. In this example, we'll connect the lav to the jack labeled Input 1. Now let's jump back over to the camera's switches. Right now, even though we connected the lav, the camera's still going to record sound from the built-in mic. In order for it to record sound from the lav, we have to make a few changes to these switches. For Input 1, bring the first switch down to mic and the second switch down to EXT. This will record the audio from the lav onto channel 1. If you do nothing to Input 2's switches, it will continue recording the built-in camera mic audio on that channel, and sometimes that's what you want. But when you want to record the lav audio only on both channels, make sure to move Input 2's switches to the same spots that you put Input 1. So Input 2 should go down to mic and to EXT. Now the audio from the lav will be recorded on both channels. This works because of a menu option that Sony calls XLR Set. To get to the XLR Set option, press Menu, go down to Audio Set menu, press Set, scroll down to XLR Set, press Set. And here you have two options, Input 1/Input 1 and Input 1/Input 2. The first option, Input 1/Input 1, allows you to record the audio that's coming into Input 1 on both channels 1 and 2 if, as we did a moment ago, you set the switches so that they are the same for both inputs. While on Input 1/Input 1, if you have different audio sources selected, Input 1 will only go to channel 1 and Input 2 will only go to channel 2. If you're connecting two external microphones to the camera, then you would use Input 1/Input 2. This will allow you to control the levels of each mic independently and record the audio from each microphone into its own channel. The first thing you should do while recording audio is make sure you're monitoring it with a pair of headphones. The headphone jack is located here at the back of the camera, so always wear your headphones while recording audio in the camera. You can adjust the headphone volume by pressing Menu, scrolling down to Audio Set, pressing Set, then Volume, and Set again. Now you can use the arrow buttons up by the menu button to raise and lower the volume. It's really important to note, that the level of the headphones or the volume of the headphones is in no way connected to the levels that are actually being recorded. So how do you know where your levels actually are? Well, that's when you look at the VU meters. The VU meters are these little lines down here at the bottom right-hand corner of the LCD display, but they can be kind of small. To see a larger view of the meters, press the status button on the side of the camera here. If it doesn't show up right away, you may not be on the right page of the status display, so use the up and down arrows to navigate to page 1/7 as you see here. The bars of the VU meter will move in relation to the loudness of the sound. For the spoken voice, the peak should be higher than -20 but lower than -10 like you see here. To review what you recorded, simply hit the thumbnail button and navigate to the clip you wish to watch using the arrow buttons. Hit the set button to select it and begin playback. To get back into the record mode, hit the thumbnail button a couple times to get back to the main screen. One more thing, if you turn on the camera and notice that your LCD display is blank, chances are somebody hit the display button located here on the side of the camera. To get the pertinent information back, just hit the display button a couple more times and you should be good to go.